A truly bizarre and unusual weather pattern is currently developing across the United States, and meteorologists are paying close attention. Over the next couple of weeks, this pattern will lead to a series of rare and unpredictable severe weather events, including damaging winds, large hail, isolated tornadoes, and perhaps most shockingly snow in late May and early June. The culprit behind all of this chaos is a large-scale atmospheric setup known as an omega block, which has taken firm control of the jet stream. This pattern is highly unusual for the month of May, and its effects will be felt from the west coast to the east coast and from the Great Plains all the way into New England. The omega block gets its name from the Greek letter omega, which resembles the shape the jet stream takes during this event. A massive ridge of high pressure builds in the middle, typically over the Great Plains, while two low-pressure systems become trapped on either side, one along the west coast and another over Canada. In a normal spring pattern, storms would roll from west to east across the country, bringing scattered severe weather. However, the omega block acts like a massive wall. Storms are forced to track around the edges of the block instead of moving through the center. This creates a split flow where energy and moisture are diverted north and south, leading to highly localized and often unexpected severe weather outbreaks. Currently, a large low-pressure system is sitting along the west coast. A strong ridge is trying to build across the Great Plains, and another low is spinning over Canada. Additionally, a small shortwave trough is moving across the southern plains. This entire configuration is allowing much colder than average air to pour southward out of Canada, particularly affecting the Ohio Valley and the Northeast over the next several days. Wednesday. Wacky Weather Wednesday. Today is being called Wacky Weather Wednesday, for good reason. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a level 2 out of 5 slight risk of severe weather for West Virginia, Virginia, and parts of Delaware and Maryland. A level 1 marginal risk extends across the Texas Panhandle, Wisconsin, Ohio, and back into North Carolina. The primary threats today include damaging wind gusts between 50 and 65 miles per hour, strong enough to bring down trees and power lines, large hail up to the size of a $50 coin in isolated pockets. A low-end tornado threat, while not widespread, an isolated spin-up tornado cannot be ruled out, especially in the mid-Atlantic region. A line of thunderstorms is already pushing through parts of the deep south this morning. Just yesterday, a significant line of storms ripped across southern Texas, and a tornado warning was issued near San Antonio. Similar conditions could develop today from Indianapolis to Washington, D.C. By 3 to 4 p.m., storms are expected to become fairly widespread. From Bloomington, Indiana to Washington, D.C., by 6 to 7 p.m., the activity will push toward Fredericksburg and Richmond. After 8 p.m., as daytime heating ends, severe weather should diminish, though a few rumbles of thunder may linger across the southeast. Meanwhile, back over the central and southern plains, scattered thunderstorms will develop near Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Fayetteville, and Garden City. While severe weather is not the primary expectation here, a few stronger storms could produce gusty winds and small hail. Flooding concerns. Two specific areas face a higher flooding potential today. 1. From Pittsburgh back into Indianapolis. 2. From Houston back into New Orleans. The reason for concern is that soils across the southeast and parts of the Ohio Valley are already heavily saturated. Just a few days ago, a flash flood emergency was declared in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, because the ground simply cannot absorb any more water. Additional rainfall over the next few days will only worsen the situation. Any thunderstorm that moves over these areas could produce rapid flash flooding with very little warning. Thursday will see a lower threat of severe weather overall. The main area of concern will be the Pacific Northwest, including Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. This is somewhat unusual for this region. A weak low-pressure system spinning over Nevada and California will push a few storms into western Montana and the Pacific Northwest, where damaging winds, large hail, and an extremely low tornado risk are possible. Later in the day, around 5 to 6 p.m., scattered thunderstorms will develop across the central and southern plains and the Ozarks. While a very weak low-pressure system will be present, significant severe weather is not expected. However, a few of the strongest storms could produce quarter-sized hail. Residents in Oklahoma and Texas should remain alert. The Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex has seen hailstorms every day for the last 4 days, and Thursday may not be any different despite the lack of a formal severe weather risk. By Friday, the severe weather pattern will shift in a weird and unpredictable way. The Storm Prediction Center has outlined 2 marginal risk areas, one over the high plains, another over Montana. The primary concerns will again be damaging winds and hail. However, the real story is what could develop between Friday and Saturday. Meteorologists are closely watching an area from Colorado back into North Dakota. If the stubborn low-pressure system along the west coast finally begins to move north, it could tap into increasing moisture and instability, leading to a more significant severe weather event. Tornadoes may make a return to this region, something that has been notably absent so far this May. Perhaps the most jaw-dropping part of this forecast is the potential for snow in late May and early June across the northeast. Yes, you read that correctly. A low-pressure system is forecast to move across New England on Saturday. During the morning hours, snow could fall near Jackman, Berlin, and Mount Washington. Light to moderate snow accumulations are possible, and in some locations, a few inches could pile up. By the time we reach the first full week of June, the jet stream will take a giant dip across the northeast. A shallow area of wind across the plains will keep things quiet elsewhere, but that dip will allow a big shot of cold air to spill across the entire eastern tier of the country. This could produce rare early June snowfall in lower elevations. While this will not be a major winter storm, some areas could pick up at least a coating of snow or at the very least see snowflakes falling from the sky. According to the European model, the snowfall forecast for this weekend shows northwestern Maine possibly seeing a few inches of snow. Mount Washington, being much higher above sea level, could also receive several inches. And as we go into next week, the only other snow will be in the higher elevations of the Rockies, which is typical for this time of year. But the northeast? That is anything but typical. The reason for this rare May snow is a dramatic dip in temperatures. This weekend, temperatures across New England will be 20 to 30 degrees below average. In Berlin and Lincoln, readings will be 25 degrees below normal. Even down in Nashua and Boston, temperatures will be 20 to 25 degrees below average for this time of year. Meanwhile, the rest of the country tells a different story. Most areas are near or just slightly below average. However, the northern plains will be well above average. Minneapolis, Fargo, and Winnipeg are all looking at temperatures 10 to 20 degrees above normal, and in parts of Canada, a major heat wave is underway. Thompson is experiencing temperatures 30 degrees above average. This means we are looking at a true meteorological roller coaster to start the month of June. Record warm conditions in the north, record cold conditions in the northeast, and a very active storm track in between. 2 statistics stand out as particularly remarkable. 1. 0 tornadoes in Oklahoma so far in May. If this holds through the end of the month, it will be the first May without a single tornado in Oklahoma since 2005, a gap of 21 years. This is absolutely wild for a state that sits in the heart of Tornado Alley. 2. Potential June snow in the northeast. While exact measurements are still uncertain, the very fact that snow is being discussed for late May and early June in lower elevations is extraordinary. The last time something similar occurred is a testament to just how unusual this Omega block pattern truly is. Looking further ahead, the first week of June appears generally quiet for most of the country. However, there are 2 things worth watching. Possible tropical development. Both the GFS and European models have continued to hint at some sort of tropical system trying to form near Florida during the first week of June. Regardless of whether tropical development actually occurs, the more important story is the potential for heavy rainfall across Florida. This would be desperately needed, as the state has been experiencing drought conditions for the last several months. Return of heat and severe weather. The Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 1 0-day and 8 to 1 4-day outlooks both agree on a high likelihood of below-average temperatures from southern New England back into the southern plains and along the Gulf Coast. However, heat will eventually return by the second week of June. That increase in temperature should help spark renewed severe weather activity across the plains and Midwest. Stay weather aware. If you live in the Mid-Atlantic today, the High Plains on Friday and Saturday, or the Northeast this weekend, keep a close eye on local forecasts and warnings. Do not ignore flood threats. Saturated soils mean flash flooding can occur rapidly, even from relatively modest rainfall. Prepare for unusual cold. If you are in the Northeast, have warm clothing ready. This is not typical late May weather. Monitor updates closely. The Omega block pattern is inherently stubborn and unpredictable. Forecasts may change quickly, especially regarding the snow potential and tornado risks. We are witnessing a truly fascinating weather pattern, one that does not come along very often, especially in the month of May. An Omega block of this magnitude, combined with the potential for May snow, a possible tornado outbreak in the High Plains, and a nearly tornado-free Oklahoma, makes this one of the most unusual spring weather setups in recent memory. While the severe weather will not be widespread every single day, the type and location of the events will be anything but normal. From damaging winds and hail in the Mid-Atlantic today, to snow in New England this weekend, to a possible tropical system near Florida next week, the next several days will keep meteorologists and weather enthusiasts on their toes. Stay tuned for updates. This is a developing situation, and the full impact of this Omega block pattern is only just beginning to unfold.